I can definitely say that a lot of people think that it comes easy. It does not. I have been on over 2,000 job interviews. Every time you meet a client, every audition you have is a job interview. I would say that 97 or 98% of those you either do not hear back from, or frankly, they tell you that there's some immutable characteristic that precludes them from hiring you. Yeah, I mean, um, rejection's tough for anyone, whether you're a new college graduate, whether you've been in an industry for a long time. Job markets are tough.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to We Are Meant to United podcast. Tonight, I have a very special guest from us from one of your favorite communities, which we'll be diving straight into. But, Josh, welcome to the channel. I'm so excited for our audience to meet you. We have just started getting involved in the trading community, TCG. So, I'm very excited to kind of explore that with you. And you have a extensive background in entertainment. I'm a sports and entertainment person myself, so I'm very excited to have this conversation today. For our audience who might not know you, please introduce yourself.
Hi, well, my name is Josh Durham. I have been in the entertainment industry for a little over 20 years. I started out as an on-camera professional. Have worked for hundreds of companies on camera, anywhere from industrial training videos, where if you've had to sit in those long training sessions and listen to someone present it to you, you probably taught and listened to a guy like me. I've done some commercial work for some large national companies, and even dabbled for a little bit in the film world with some independent film. But as recent as 2019, started in the content world, and then the world changed in 2020, where a lot of the content came to you, where it had to be started making content at in your home, and the user-generated content world really took off, and that opened a lot of new opportunities for me, to where I could use my camera, my equipment, my lights, my home studio to do a lot of work. So it opened up a lot of new opportunities for me. So that's a little bit about me.
That's really exciting, and I did get a chance to like look at some of your work that you've shared with on social media, like user generated content or like content that you've created for brands. Um, and I have to say, like you have like a lot of brands under your umbrella. Like you've kind of dabbled in a lot of spaces. So I'm really excited to get more into that. What's like a common misconception about working in your space, whether that's like entertainment or like content creation, and the type of work that you do? What are some common misconceptions that you see?
Well, I can definitely say that a lot of people think that it comes easy. It does not. I will say this very frankly. I have been on over 2,000 job interviews. Every time you meet a client, every audition you have is a job interview, and I would say that 97 or 98% of those you either do not hear back from, do not receive a what is called as a callback, another interview, another audition, or frankly, they tell you that there's some immutable characteristic that precludes them from hiring you. As in, the client wants somebody who looks this way. You were great, we loved you, but they wanted this kind of person. And I'm like, okay. So, as an on-camera presenter in the entertainment industry, and this is something I had to learn at a young age. It's a development of an ability, I guess a lot of people would say a thick skin, but to be able to pick yourself up and stay focused on the goal you have, whether that is to do X, do Y, do Z. It's a lot of mental strain and stress. So that's something that a lot of people don't really understand until you explain to them about it. And when I put it in terms of the working man's profession, like job interviews, and they're like, "Oh wow, I never thought about it that way." And I'm like,
Mm.
"Yeah." So I guess that's a misconception. A lot of people don't understand like the process that goes into it. Like for a simple video that I make, and a lot of my stuff I've learned to edit. I've learned new skills along the way, um, and it takes a lot to make even something um, under a minute to make it look successful, look polished, to capture the story and everything. So there's a lot that goes into storytelling of a piece of content. So it is tough. It is hard. It is a definite labor of love, but it is definitely something that you have to put your nose down with the grindstone to remember.
Absolutely. Wow, that's incredible. Thanks for sharing that. I want
Yeah.
to expand a little bit on um, as say an actor like facing that rejection, and specifically, you're facing rejection because like you don't have certain traits that
Yeah.
like a brand is looking for. How did you learn to deal with that? Like, how did you learn to not take it personally and kind of understand that it was separate from you as a person, and kind of deal with that? How did you kind of learn to do that?
That is the $64,000 questions. So I decided as a college graduate, a lot of people, thought that I probably went to school for drama or something. But I have a degree in management and marketing, so I come with a very um, analytical business brain, which I feel like those skills have allowed me to eke my way out and be successful. It's not because I was the best one in the room. It's because I used the principles that I knew to work harder and smarter and to keep going when others would say, I'm going to stop here. But it took me a long time to do that, honestly. I thought that since and this was very early to mid 20s, Josh, I thought that since I had done hard work, that I had given up things, given up a career to go do this, that I deserved to get the job. And that is not literally how the world works. There are a lot of people who don't work as hard that end up being successful. And there are a lot of people that work hard who have to eke their way out. So I had to learn um, resilience. And I think a little bit of that was just maturity, is, kind of going through life's hard knocks, and developing that ability to have a goal, focus on it, do what it takes to learn and become better, train yourself, surround yourself with wise counsel. So those kinds of things, and a lot of what has made me any bit of success that you would have, it would be the running into brick walls constantly, the lessons learned the hard way, and I can definitely say that there have been hundreds of those where I've had to relearn the same lesson. I'm like, oh man, I did that again. So a lot of that happened for me, was just, you know, uh, baptism by experience, I guess, within the industry. So
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. And I wouldn't assume it's like something that, you build in a year or 2 years. It's definitely like evolving and shapes who you are, because as human beings,
yeah,
like our first reaction is, to kind of take it upon ourselves that like, or take something personally. Um
yeah,
and like you said, it like really comes with like time. And also thinking that we deserve things. I think that's a conception that exists nowadays. Like, you deserve it because you worked hard, you did everything right. Like you went to school, you went to college, so you
yeah,
deserve it. And I think that's very hard for people to just kind of grasp that that's not how the world actually works.
yeah.
What was a moment that shaped you over the decades working in this industry, or something that stood out to you?
Well, yeah, I have a lot of like little light bulb moments. So I think in 2008, I've been grinding away. 2008. That sounds like a long time ago, but it seems like yesterday to me. Um,
Yes.
uh, Yeah, I mean I just aged myself. That 2008 is legal now, so it's 18 years ago. It was right around about this time. I've been grinding away for about 3, 4 years at this so far, and it was not going well. I, you know, am in. I've lived around and about Texas and spent some time in Los Angeles at this time. It was not going well for me, and I was nearly broke financially. And I remember looking at my bank account and saying, I don't think I got but about 2 weeks left of me doing this. Next day, big regional commercial I booked. Day after that, maybe 2 days later, booked my first national commercial. So for the Texas
Wow.
Lottery, a regional commercial, and for Lipton Tea. Uh, and I wept. I cried because I'm like, this is a moment like, hey, you've done some little things, you've done some regional things, but these are large. And at that time is when you still got residuals. Now the whole game has changed. Everything's a buyout. There's
Hmm.
really very little union residual work, especially for a guy like me. Um, it was very encouraging for me because those first couple of years were hard, and I don't is not for the faint-hearted. Especially, I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I'm a college-educated guy who's committed himself to this, and um, so those are big times for me. And then I rattled off a few more, and it was a good two year run for me, and um, and then a little bit of a lull, then like a solid few years after that. So it's the roller coaster that you've really in this business really got to kind of sit back and allow it to happen sometimes too. You've got to be able to willingly suspend the disbelief in your mind and your heart of what may be happening, and allow things to the path to unfold and decide how you want to walk down it. So that was a big moment for me. I remember. There's a few more, but those are big moments for me that kind of like, hey, you did. Now I didn't look at it as like I've made it, but it's like your hard work paid off. So that was a big moment for me, 18 years ago.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Um, and really exciting. How like how would you say these moments like have shaped your perspective on like career or life itself and like building up your resilience beyond just those being like light bulb moments like you said? Do you think they have in any way shaped your perspective moving forward?
Yeah. I mean, rejection's tough for anyone. Um, Whether you're a new college graduate, whether you've been in an industry for a long time, um, job markets are tough. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Putting out resumes to dozens and dozens of companies, developing really good cover letters, and not hearing anything back. I think that is that is the toughest part for me that I've learned is to be able to, as the song says, this probably predates you, hold on loosely but don't let go. It's kind of like these two forces that are together, but like holding on loosely to something that it's not yours yet and may never be, but you're a steward of it as you have it, and being connected enough and aware enough that this is something that I care about and I don't want to let go of. Having those two things be present at once, and to allow things to pass through, and also being ready. Um, for me, it's always being ready to give your best, um,
Mm-hmm.
even for this today. Like I have developed this routine, or like whatever I do, I want to show up, um, let my excellence be on display, let my communication be good, and honor the people that I'm with. I think that's the best I can do, is show up as the best version of myself to those around me every day. And if it's a client I'm working for, yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
a lot of what this has done is taught me a lot of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I take a strand of something every day, every client that I work with, and learn something about myself, so I can like show up and be a little bit better the next day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you have a lot of fun in your field, just like every day being different, and like you don't have, maybe you don't have a 9 to 5 that like you're like in a office every day and you're like interacting with different people.
Yeah, well, I will say this, like for me, the clients that have paid the best have been the ones that are, whether it's training videos, whether it's like HR, new hire training, soft skill training. Those can be boring, but man, I try to make it as fun as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, whether it's like how I warm up, if I'm filming with somebody, always trying to keep that energy going. I mean, it could be the most incredibly boring stuff, but if I'm not delivering, and I look at everything, even those things, as like a story. I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling a story. I'm communicating uh, something in a exciting and a positive fashion to a group of people, and you know, I'm never going to see most of these people that I'm talking to, but I do want to honor them and communicate to them. So it can be fun, and I take a lot of pride in like doing my research um, on like who I'm talking to, so I can like develop this. So yeah, those are kind of some of the things you know, and with the hobby world and the content, I'm gonna have fun every single video I make.
Mm-hmm.
You've probably seen I cover a wide array of things with my personal content, but every single video there, I develop content pillars where I stick to my storytelling, um, and I want every piece of my content to cover one of those content pillars. Um, and as long as I'm doing that, I know I'm sticking um, to my ideas, and putting my audience first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I envy that a little bit, I have to say. I also want to ask you, like, over time the content world has like really evolved.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you deal with change in this creative space? I feel like a lot of younger folks, especially, or people who have been in the creative industries for a shorter period of time, uh, are terrified or scared of like changes that are coming.
Yeah.
And maybe right now it's AI, but obviously there's been like several different changes over time. Like cable TV is almost gone, and it's like been
Oh
what,
yeah.
20 years. So how have you navigated change, and how has your approach been to like the evolving times in the industry in general?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting you say that. Some of my early like training videos and stuff that I shot in my early days. I was doing training videos for the swipe technology on phone. I'm like, whoa, this is weird. You can literally swipe, and I'm like, man, it's I see the laugh on your face. You're like, oh, and I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be good. And training videos showing how apps worked, and I'm like, app. I remember hearing app for the first time. I was like, what are you talking about? On the menu at a restaurant? An appetizer? So, I've dealt with change and seen how the world is changing in relation to storytelling, the visual mediums we look at things on. I'm post college is when the iPhone came about for me. I remember seeing people waiting in line. I'm like, it's just a phone. Why? But I mean, that changed the way we do everything. You literally, what restaurant do you go to that you don't scan a QR code, or video that you make, or order that you make for delivery for food items is all done on a phone now through these apps. They have cameras that you can make movies on. So, fortunately for me, I've seen so many iterations of change and seeing how quickly things change. And that can be scary, honestly. We're seeing our first waves of college graduates and people entering the workforce who have been fully in the digital age, and I'm definitely an analog person, and I still have to keep up with the digital things that are happening too. But with AI, I think a lot of people that are entering the workforce, they're definitely worried that they could become obsolete. Um, so my encouragement to that is just always to 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 seek out where skills can be new skill can be um, learned, and opportunities can do that, and that's how you make yourself indispensable to people. It's to show them what you can do, and always be a student and learning. So um, yeah, for me, I mean, like 5 years ago, 8 years ago, I mean, I had to learn iMovie, and then it was CapCut, and then it was Canva, and all these things. And now I have all these skills where sometimes people think I'm a video editor. I'm like, no, but I can edit your videos because I've essentially had to learn how to create products that I can offer to clients without
Mm-hmm.
having to do it myself. So I think that's what makes you indispensable, is always being a student, to learn new things, new ideas, and continue to be excellent at what you do.
Absolutely. And that point you make of also like learning all these different things kind of made me think about how when you're in academia, like if you really think about it, you're taught to be like a good worker, right? You're thought to be good at like one specific thing. And then something I saw is when you leave academia, you have to actually be good at a lot of things to either be like a lead a business or like start something of your own, or even be good at something you like doing, like yourself with content. Like that's something I learned is like I also have a background in marketing, but once I got out of academia, if you want to do anything, you have to be a graphic designer, video editor, all of it
Yeah.
together. So yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and
um
there is a caveat to that. I feel, if you look at a lot of jobs in the content and social media world, they're asking for 5 to 6 jobs in one.
mhm.
And I'm incredibly honest with people, and I'm like, when they approach me, I was like, your pay rate's not going to match what you know what you can
What
do.
you're
So there is a
asking, yeah.
there is a tail that is wagging that dog sometimes, as companies want to. So I also have you know mentored some people as I don't get caught in the trap of learning all these skills to make yourself indispensable. Then you will get caught in a velvet coffin, and then that's when malaise, creativity, because now you're doing the jobs of 5 people.
Mhm.
When if they wanted to be more efficient, this company, they would hire the person that is the best at that.
Yeah.
So it's I know a lot of entry level jobs can see people get stuck in that, and I feel like if you look at people's resume, that's why you see a lot of job hopping.
Mhm.
People are trying to find an upward trajectory, and they kind of get stuck in these jobs. Um, so I always tell people that I was like, find a place that is going to value you at your best skill set while respecting to have that, but value and pour into the best parts of you, not
Mhm.
all the parts of you, because then you're spread too thin. You can get stuck in a velvet coffin where I'm making just enough to stay here, and you lose opportunities to. I think that leads to creative burnout and job burnout really quick. And companies will say they make every excuse in the world other than, am I listening to my employees? Am I listening to my creatives? Am I listening to my people? Am I not getting the right? So I've seen it happen quite a bit, even in my
Mhm.
you know clients that reach out to me, and I'm very direct and honest when I say it. I don't mince words, but I do it with kindness.
Wow, absolutely. Well, I'm glad I asked you. That's pretty exciting. How has your definition of success evolved over time?
Definition of success. When I first started this journey, what I do, um, success was accomplishment. But you know, there will be days where I'm like I don't feel successful, because you know essentially, you know, when you book a job as an on-camera presenter, it could be that one day that's your job. Um, it could be a week long. It could be multiple days. It could be X amount of time. So I would lose that feeling of accomplishment very very quickly because it's like sand coming through your hands. It's there one minute and you're like, okay, on to the next. So some days I would just have to pause and look back and like, okay, you have done things, you have accomplished things, but also like those things don't define who you are. It's the mutable characteristics that you've been given. You know, now I don't find my joy in what I do. I just try to have fun, stick to the content pillars and ideas that I have, and realize that my worth is not in my career. I'm a husband. I'm a father. Those things bring me much more exponential joy than any career ever would.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. And I actually have a couple of questions for you about like fatherhood and how that has changed your relationship to creativity or career, um, or just like your emotional capacity. But how has that been like? Like what's changed for you since becoming a father?
I think that I've become just an overall like more creative person. I have this beautiful life that I've been given to be a steward of, um, and a lot of tenderness and kindness, and you just have more capacity to kind of access different parts of your heart, and that's been enjoyable. I've also become quite a protector. I am quite protective now too. Um, I can sometimes feel like I'm that old man on the porch shaking his fist. Sometimes too, but it's just been wonderful. I feel like it's given me being a being a husband and a father is just kind of giving me an extra oomph in my step when I get up in the morning to go out and to be the best version of myself, to fight, and also at the end of the day and realize I have a reason to turn off the camera and turn off the lights and step out of the studio in the office because I've
Mm-hmm.
got I've got a little one that I need to go enjoy life with.
Wow, absolutely. That's beautiful. What kind of example do you hope to set as a parent when it comes to like wellness, resilience, self care?
Yeah, I want to be. I just hope to be somebody who's like, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with Saved by the Bell, the show from the 80s and 90s, but Zach Morris would do Time Out, is to do like call time out on yourself and do self assessment on like where you are and be aware of like how you are and how you feel in the moment with what's going on. I think a lot of people don't do that. Mental health speaking, um, to you know I guess give themselves some awareness and some margin. I think margin's a key word too, is to create it. It's not to hang out in the margins, but to give yourself a margin to know where I end, and then there's a margin there between where I'm going. Um, and the margin is the place where you can feel protected. That's where your space is protected, where your time is protected, where your mind, your spirit, your heart, all those things that make you a large part of who you are protected. So creating good margins around your life, you know, not a gray area that you can go hang out in, but definite like that's nothing, and I need to make sure that margin's there around. It frees up your mind too. I can definitely say that when I've created margin for myself, um, allow myself to rest, allow myself to get reconnected for longer periods of time with my family. It's made me more resilient. Um, it's made me more of open to create more creative things. So I feel like that is what I want. Somebody who like can understand and know yourself a little bit better. That's kind of example I want to set, and you know, I try to do it every day, the best I can. And
That's
also, like,
absolutely.
don't take yourself too seriously. Like, I get caught being way too serious about life sometimes, and I'm like, man, just step back and breathe, dude.
Absolutely. Because life's going to happen whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
It's just
it
going to
does.
like keep going and keep being, life. So I definitely second that was like not taking yourself too seriously. Like just have a good time, take care of yourself and like let things kind of figure themselves out for the most part. I definitely resonate with that. But no, that's really exciting. Has there been a time where like um you've had to like draw boundaries, whether it's like with work, kind of getting in the way of personal life? And if there was, can you tell us a little bit about like how you did that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the struggle that any creative has, especially when you essentially are a freelancer and work for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, I work with clients all over the world at some points, and sometimes there's some cultural differences where people are a little more um, gruff rather than the nuance we in America with our language too. And I've had to learn how to set my time boundaries too um, with that. So I think it's essential, and I think it's non-negotiable too. That boundaries, and I think that if you have them and you don't let people bypass them and manipulate them, and those are hard stops for you, to where that boundary is there. And if people hang out near the boundary, there's that keyword margin. That's why you give yourself margin, because between you and the boundary is the margin. If people hang out in the margins of your life, then I automatically am like, those are people that are going to possibly breach my boundaries. If people see the margin and respect the margin, then you're like, okay, those are people who know that like that's the protective like gel around him, and then the boundaries on the other side of that. So um, I've had to learn that lesson the hard way multiple times because I'm like, man, that's a really nice paycheck, but I have walked away from clients and jobs before because I'm like, this is not going to be healthy, and I felt good about it. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because I said it, and I'm like, the paycheck didn't mean it, but like I set a limit for myself, and somebody breached that limit or came close to it, and I'm like, no. And I walked away from it, and there's a little bit of freedom from that because you can just roll back your shoulders and like, and I think that in those spaces are when good things happen for you, um, and may not be a next job, it may not be a better client, it may be the fact that um, you had an idea and you stuck with it, and it gave you confidence to go and do something else. So uh, I'm a big firm believer in that. So
Absolutely, and that's an important lesson that keeps coming up in my life too. So, yeah, thanks for sharing. Your advice with that. I think that's very helpful to folks. Um, so coming on a little bit on the collector side of
sure.
yourself and like trading card, tell us being part of like the trading card community. Tell us a little bit about like how you got involved with that. On our channel here, we featured the anime in Orlando that happened this past year, and since then. people on our team, like Catherine, have been like pretty heavily involved. So there are some new fans of the channel. Just talking about this community. So tell us about, a little bit about like your involvement. I see all your collectibles in the
Oh
background.
yeah, you can see that in the back.
Yeah,
It's
and I
there's
even
a whole
saw.
room here, so
Wow.
yeah, this is kind of where my studio is, where I film a lot. A lot of my personal content is sports based. I'm a big lifelong sports collector. I don't want well, I'll tell you when I started collecting in the mid '80s. That was
Wow.
the glory time for me, where I'm a big sports card and baseball card guy mainly. And My favorite players back then, I had the chance to meet almost all of them in person,
Wow.
at either signings or doing content, with them, with a lot of athletes. Those guys were superheroes to me. They were larger than life. Like I still think about them, and they were like, these guys literally could walk on water to me. Um, so it was such a like a big part of my life, and I feel like that nostalgia thing, especially. I mean, I'm not a big TCG or Pokemon guy, but I do know it's the 30th anniversary. So like millennial nostalgia is at an all time high right now, 90s nostalgia, and I'm like, yeah,
Mm.
I remember that. I was in college. um, but for me, like that time in the 80s, the music, the sports, the movies. And a lot of my collection that I have is like my personal moments with things and things that evoke a lot of memories. Um, I really got back into it, about, 12 or so years ago. And I finally pulled out all my stuff, and I'm like, whoa, I forgot I had all this stuff. So that was fun, just going back through, all my old baseball cards, and I got all my all my pictures and autograph things and balls and pictures and all that stuff. So
That's incredible. Are there other folks who share this passion with you, or has this kind of been like a journey of your own?
well, the cool thing about it is, when I met my wife, she was a sports fan too, and my particular favorite team is the New York Yankees, and she liked the Yankees too. So I'm like, oh, score. She's, I wouldn't say put up with it. She has, come to enjoy it a little bit more than probably most spouses would, um, and has allowed me like my space to kind of have my, and I've met a lot of cool people in the sports industry, and because I worked in the entertainment industry, and I've been able to meet agents of players, um, and get some cool exclusive content with them, and which I think is that means more than anything in this room is getting to talk to these guys and about ther memories,
Yeah.
and because I'm a researcher, I mean, like I know these guys like the back of my hand and their
Yeah.
careers and everything, and hey, they think I'm a little bit younger than I am, and I'm like, thank you. But I just get to have those conversations. I mean, like, it's an absolute just dream. I've probably at this point
Mm.
interviewed over 75 or 80
Wow.
athletes. Um, and That's the best part for me, is telling their stories and giving them an opportunity to chit chat and creating those memories for me. So
Absolutely incredible. I resonate big time with this. Yeah, big time. We got to interview a couple of folks from the Manchester United team a couple summers back. And one of their legends, Wes Brown, and you're pretty much describing
nice.
like how I felt during that whole like filming of that whole campaign, and even people who were like in fan media, some of the journalists who've covered like United for like 20 plus years, and that was just like a taste, I would say, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. What came first for you? Like, did the collecting come, or did you kind of um Like, what came first in terms of like working with them? Or I think obviously you already were very passionate about them, so I kind of know, but how did that kind of play out?
Yeah, so I've been, of course, been collecting for a long time, and um, in I guess when during 2019, yeah, I started to kind of get a little bit more involved in what we didn't really have a name for it, but it's now known as user generated content. 2020 hit when COVID came. I have a office and studio full of lights and camera. I have my podcast mic, everything. I go to my closet and make voiceovers, that kind of thing, and just to get better sound. So I fully equipped my home to be able to do stuff, and uh, I guess I guess it kind of started. So you know what I've learned about sometimes that beauty comes from ashes and rubble. Um, so I was represented by an agent, had an agent for 18, 18 or 19 years, and 2.5 years ago, I got a one of my agents, the main one I worked with, sent just a simple three line email because the industry had changed, which I
Mm,
was already booking work on my own, a ton. People just reaching out to me that they were having to reduce their roster, so they cut
mm,
me off my roster. And I'm like, wow, and that hit me like a ton of bricks because that relationship predated my wife, and
well, yeah.
so it took me a few hours to kind of process that. But I'm just like, um, I've also learned about me is that like I can, for lack of better word, can get a little chippy when somebody doesn't want me or want to work with me. It makes me want to work hard. So it's a little. I have to use it as positive motivation and not get,
Mhm.
because if not, it'll turn into anger to want to prove somebody wrong. It's like positive motivation. Okay, somebody has done this. It is a piece of gravel in your shoe. What happens when you get gravel in your shoe? You're like, this doesn't feel good. You want to kick it out,
Mhm.
but it makes you aware of where you're at. So it makes me want to get that piece of gravel out of my shoe. And it's like, I don't want to get a piece of gravel in my shoe again. So it makes me work harder. It's like, how am I going to do that? I'm going to outwork my old self. So that's when I dove ahead and I said, you know what? Part of this is going to be me doing and making content that I enjoy, and that's sports content. So I started just pumping it out. I had all these ideas, and now I had the freedom to, like, whether it was mental freedom, I had that relationship released, or whatever. But I just started pumping it out. The things that I enjoyed, like I was trying new editing styles and everything. And about 2 months later, a sports car client reached out to me, and I guess they had seen my video that I had made. It kind of made the rounds, and they reached out to me about working together. And uh, I worked. They hired me as their director of content, and I worked with them for a little over a year. I no longer work with that company, but it did introduce me to a lot of, and it gave me an avenue to make sports content even more. And I developed a lot of relationships out of that. So that was a very positive thing for me. And I'm once again been freelancing as of recently, but it's increased my confidence because I'm like, you know what? I started doing things I love. I started making content. My creativity rose exponentially, and somebody says, I want that guy. So this is something that my acting coach from way back when told me: if you make apples that are really good, keep selling apples. That's the best
Mhm.
advice I can give people. I tell it to them all the time. They're like, what does that mean? It was like, keep selling your apples that you make, and one day somebody's going to want all of your apples. So if you like, I know this is a good apple, I'm confident in it because I've worked hard to make this apple, to plant these trees and do it. One day somebody's going to come along and say, those are incredible apples. Give me all of them. Or can you come plant those apple trees for me? So um, that was probably some of the best advice. And it's just really simple. but there's a lot packed into it. So I did that. I it was probably an internal, but I'm just like, so these are apples I want to sell. Boom, let's go do it. And I was pretty resolute with it. So I've been there for a couple of years now. So and that kind of creative mindset, it's given me a lot more confidence, I guess. As I, people at my age feel like they kind of age out and the content world, because you tell people you work in content and they're like, they automatically, I think that I'm about 15 to 18 years younger than I am.
Mm.
Until I tell them the 2 decades of experience line in my email.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah. No, I have a lot of respect for, just building experience in this industry and like being there no matter the fluctuations that happen. And even like you said, like people just assuming it's a young people's game, but like of course experienced folks have to be here. I feel like it's probably one of the only industries that like people talk about it like that, like you're like,
yeah.
oh yeah, like you've been here a long time, huh? Anywhere else they're like, if you're there a long time you're like better than most
I
people.
kind of love telling people that I started college last millennium. They're like, what does that mean? Or what does that mean? It
Start
was
doing the
last
math in
millennium.
their head. Yeah, I also have a lot of respect for like millennials and Gen X for like just how they've persevered over time and so much change. Like my parents will tell you they had their first phone after they had me, and it was like this like brick phone. But now it's like we all deal with like so much technology day to day, and like they've adjusted pretty well. And like I think
Mhm.
same goes for millennials. When they were kids, like most of them just didn't even have phones. So I like to see people just persevering through change over time. um Tell me a little bit about like working with big brands. There are a lot of folks on our channel who kind of aspire to do that. But tell me like how like you kind of got your one of your first like big brand roles. I know you've worked with like the NBA, Verizon, Samsung, you name it. And what level of professionalism has kind of allowed you to be successful and continue to have deals with all these brands?
Yeah, I just think it's based on relationships and skills.
Mhm.
You build relationships with people that are honest, direct, and let them know and show people the skill set that you have. And I always try to approach any new relationship or any big brand relationship as like, how can I help you? Like, what can I do to help you? Like, it's not the what's in it for me. It's like, what's in it for you? I try to like give this idea of service, and then you when the opportunity presents itself, then that's when you're able to showcase your ability and skills, um, while also, again, that B word, boundaries. And I've had to have conversations with that. Sometimes people use that as it's everything's kind of negotiation. Sometimes too, is learning how to negotiate um, yourself into a reputable position, and compensation too. So you don't want to create opportunities where people um, can can take that as a weakness, or to manipulate you into like taking less than your experience level would be. And sometimes that does happen, but uh, a gentle word turns away anger. So sometimes you have to just redirect the conversation. So
Mhm.
that's what I've just learned, is to like, how can I help people? What skill set do I have that can help people? Um, and doing a good job, and showing up, and all the intangible things that you learn through experience, through relationships, through life. They really do come into effect. Um, Treating people with dignity and respect, and or I have a list of values that I have, and it's not just how I want to be valued; it's how I want to treat and value others as well. So I think that's super important. Just keeping things on a granular level. Um, so and sometimes it's about the opportunity meeting your preparedness too. So I think that a lot of people that want to aspire to working with big brands or even a, a, a job that's a high paying is like, how prepared are you to step into that? So I think a lot of time should be spent when people are looking as like, how am I preparing myself to step into roles like that? I learned that the hard way. Like I told you in my past story, is like I thought I had this immature idea in my mind that I thought I deserved things because of the effort I was giving, and my effort didn't match what the need was for that company. Um, so finding out how those kind of worlds intervene and uh, cross into opportunity for yourself has kind of made a difference for me. And also, as they say, like this collection that I have and the work that I've done, this hasn't been an overnight thing. It's been picking up the penny, nickel, and dime on the ground and put it in a bank. It's a process. It's a daily contribution to a process over time. How I train myself to present to companies. I drive down the road and I read. When I do this by myself. I read the road signs to make sure my diction is on point as much as possible. I will read the road signs out loud like I'm reading teleprompter. And it's something that it's almost habit to me. So I'm always looking for like opportunities to like polish my skill, even when I'm driving down the road. So it's little things like that, doing those little daily things. And I see that as work. Like
Mm-hmm.
even when I'm not working, I was like, I am committing myself. It's like going to the gym to me. Like I'm always practicing my skill set on something. Um, I think those things you have to like find the opportunities to do it. So, but I think that will set you apart in the workforce if you're looking to whatever your idea of wanting to do something with a big brand or um, aspire to be is just finding the daily habits that will make you a better person and better worker.
Wow, that's incredible. I find that like the more I kind of grow up and like learn about things, like discipline is actually a very important part of being successful in this life. And that kind of, how you're describing it, it's almost like a lifestyle. Like you said, it's like kind of like going to the gym. It's like it's a part of you and you practice it daily and it's a process. So that resonates with me. And even just like having that discipline to just like continue putting in whatever small amount of work or like whatever small thing that is, but it's towards your goal. That's really exciting, and I think that's immensely valuable. You said you have a list of values. Is this like a mental list or is it a physical list that exists somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, like a physical list. I mean, I want to treat people with dignity and respect because I mean, there's 100% chance that you and I are not going to agree on every single thing, and I have to hold that closely. That like you deserve dignity and respect, um, and every person I know a baseline of dignity and respect that you deserve to be here. Um, the air you breathe is just as good as the air I breathe. Um, whether I agree with you on political views, sports team views, if that if that Pokemon card is worth more than my Pokemon card, whatever, I can still respect the fact that you hold space on Earth, and I think there's a certain dignity in that recognizing somebody as a co-bearer of life with you is just
Mm-hmm.
a baseline that, and I have to remind myself like, what does that look like um, for the people and the relationships I have, and sometimes it's my another value I have is like there are a lot of physiological things about us. Well, I know that what I have is I have one mouth and I have two ears. So what I try to do, believe it or not, I've talked a lot here, is I try to listen twice as much as I talk. Is to sit back and that people's stories deserve to be heard, not just me to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
So a story has to have a good audience. So sometimes my job is just to listen. And that's something I have to practice every single day is just listen more. So I think that is part of sharing some dignity and respect with people. I have a lot of other things and constantly, that's a list that I'm constantly like, working over. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's I think a list of like values and like personal mission statement. If you're a content creator like me, having those pillars on like why you do things. Um, because like if you have a house, you have to have the pillars. You have to have the main things that hold that house up. Um, if you have pillars, then you can line the walls with mission statement, values, things that matter, and then you have a structure that emotionally and mentally that you can start to build out with. And I think that goes for everybody, whatever industry you're in, um, whatever career path you have, is having like those immutable values. Because they can help you with that B word again, boundaries again, because I'm like, hey, this is where I end and other people begin. So
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's absolutely incredible. Whenever we think about like life, it's just, we get lost in the day to day and like the things we have to do. But almost treating it like as like treating yourself as like an organization or an entity. Sorry, I'm a business school girl, so I just think about it in
yeah,
that
yeah,
in that way. But like, you have like your mission, your mission statement, your goals set out. And I see some people doing that when it's like New Year's, around New Year's time. I'll get the Instagram videos of like families setting up their goals for the year or mission statement for the year. But I really like your take on it of just kind of setting that up for yourself and then going back and editing it to where you are in life, like what you see for your future. So that's going to be an exercise I'm going to be implementing myself.
yeah,
um I've done like value exercises before where like you start with like 25 values and kind of like shrink down on which are essential. But that constantly thinking about them and like rewriting them, that sounds very exciting to me. So thanks for sharing this with us, um, Josh.
yeah. And
Like, I'm really.
I think it's something you realize as you age. I mean, like I obviously am a much different person than when I was, I started my career in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I think I have some values that I've been able to reshape and
Mm-hmm.
rack focus on. They've gotten clearer or they've changed
Yeah.
as you take on new roles in your life. Namely when you bring life into this world, your values change dramatically on how you do and use stuff. So that's why I tend to lean towards the hold on loosely but don't let go
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
premise. There's always some
Yeah.
good stories in 1980s rock music, I'll tell you
Well,
that.
I did just go to like a not a thrift, like a vintage music store and got like a bunch of CDs for like 50 cents. So that was very,
CDs,
very exciting.
man.
I'm just listening to them this week. I know. It's like back to the like 90s 2000s. I want to ask, like, before we wrap up, like, do you have any last words for our audience here today?
If I can give some last words or some advice, when you see words and see people's stories and everything, to allow yourself to kind of envelop yourself into somebody else's world for a minute and to realize that words have power, words have meaning, but also if you stand back and look at it, they could mean totally different things. For me in my world, I've had to learn that I make content, but in the same vein, where am I content? Same word, you say it differently, it means two different things. And I've had to learn to like that content doesn't make me content. So I step back and look at that word and think about it. And I was like, wow, it's the same word. That's the beauty of the English language, is that it can mean something totally different, and it's totally turns the way I view my work. Um, and sometimes I have to step back and look. Does this make me content doing this? Um, that'd just be my advice, to step back and to be self-aware and um, stick to your values. Life is a beautiful collision of choices and experiences, and sometimes you have to get along for the ride, and sometimes you have to step in the front seat and drive. So this is a thing that I like to try to step into the front seat and at least control the wheel for a little bit of time while enjoying the ride. So yeah, that's about
Wow.
all I have.
Absolutely incredible. Thank you, Josh, so much for,
Yeah,
being here today and for sharing your infinite wisdom. Honestly, just from this hour
I don't know if it's
conversation,
infinite. I don't
I
even know if it's
feel
live.
it's very essential. Just what you even said about like how you treat people, and having that, just like base treating everyone with like a basic dignity. If more people thought like that, I think our world would be in a very different state of affairs right now. So I really appreciate you, sharing these things with our audience. And yeah, also like taking control of your life. I think that's absolutely essential. And hopefully our audience will enjoy this conversation as much as I did. But no, I'm really grateful for you being here. Thank you everyone for watching. We will catch you next time on the next episode.